What's up, everyone? It's Thomas with Real Broker here in St. Augustine, Florida, coming at you live every Wednesday at 8 p.m., going over the market stats, the news you need to know about if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing. And we're doing a Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions, whether you're watching it live or you're watching the replay, make sure you fire them off below on this video, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. I'll do my best to answer it live, but if not, then I'll come back to it and I will answer it. At least I'll send you a message or a comment on one of those platforms, whichever one you're going to be on. So I got a couple good news stories for you. I'm going to try and make it as quick as possible. July 4th is tomorrow, so I hope you guys have some great plans. We're planning just go to the beach and hang out for a couple hours and pretty much doing nothing. Once the fireworks start going off, our dogs freak out, so we'll have to be home, give them some CBD treats, and hopefully they'll be fine. But you know, such is life with having dogs. But let's go ahead and start looking. Ooh, let's see here. There we go. And that's the wrong tab. Let's take a look at the market stats like we do every single week. Now, typically we're not looking at a week-to-week change, right? We want to take a look at the macro stuff. And this is more or less for the people that are new to the channel. So this is going to include, I can show you every county in the northeastern Florida area. So this is just giving you an idea of what it is in general. This is mainly going to comprise of like Duval, Nassau, and St. Johns County. But when you take a look here, we are up 2.7% year over year, which typically in terms of seasonality, June is the most expensive month in terms of real estate pricing. So up 2.7%, down 1.3% for the month last month. Now, that's a really good way to look at sales price, but then we also like to look at days on market. So days on market is up about 27% from 33 days last year to 42 days this month. To me, and this is just me speaking out loud here, I think what I'm hearing a lot of is people wondering what's going on with the market because of the interest rates and everything. But also on top of that, you have the election coming up. Right, and the election coming up is something that a lot of people are worried about. You have 50-50 split, right? You have people on one side that are worried, you have people on the other side that are worried because whoever wins, it's going to be the end of the country or it's going to be big problems or whatever. In reality, and there's statistics that back this, and I will be coming out with a video on this as well, nothing changes. Nothing changes whenever a new administration comes in. But either way, I think we are seeing a little bit more time on the market nowadays because of interest rates and then the election also affecting people's decisions as well. Saying, you know what, I think I just want to hold off to see what's going on by the end of this year. So we can see days on market creeping up for both markets, right? So we had 35 days this time last year up to 52 days on average. And then same thing, we have 41 days last month up to 52 days in the middle of summer. Now, just speaking candidly, I think that's a big portion. You know, when you think about summer, you have more inventory hitting the market in the spring and summertime than you do the rest of the year, so you do have more competition. So I think that makes about good sense when you compare it to year over year when you look at the rest in terms of summers. So it doesn't cause me any concern. Now, if we keep seeing that rise and inventory continue to rise, then we should potentially see prices going down. But I still think we're a good bit away from that potential reality. So we'll stay on top of that every single week and we'll take a look at it, keep you guys informed. If you have any questions about the real estate market, now this is all very general stuff, right? So some local markets are selling really hot still, some markets are not. So if you are looking to like sell a home in a certain area, make sure you reach out to me. I'll give you the temperature on the market, and it may or may not be a good idea for you to sell. And that's all I can do is give you the information. Ultimately, it's up to you guys what you want to do. But let's go ahead and head on to the news stories that we have. And this is something that could be a good thing. We'll take a look here. So, you know, we've talked about inflation. We've talked about the federal funds rate. And the 10-year Treasury is in a lot of those conversations, right? So the 10-year Treasury yield tumbles after weak economic data. So the 10-year Treasury dropped by more than 8 basis points to 4.352. And the 2-year Treasury was last 4.698, sliding by close to 4 basis points. So the biggest deal with this is that we know historically, if you look at mortgage interest rates and we look at the 10-year Treasury, they tend to trade within about 1.7% of each other on average. Now, this is not saying like, hey, if this drops and mortgage rates are going to drop drastically too. I'm not saying that. But typically, if you look at the history of mortgage interest rates in relation to the 10-year Treasury, you're going to see them kind of dance along with each other, where that 1.7% spread is what happens. And the reason that a lot of mortgage lenders, a lot of realtors, a lot of financial advisors were all confident that interest rates were going to start trickling down is because that spread was growing wider and wider. So really interesting to see what's going to happen with this. Now there's talk with the weakening economic data, with the potential of inflation going down, right? We still got to see what happens in the coming months, that the Fed may also lower the federal funds rate as early as September. Now, they've only called for one rate cut this year, so maybe it's going to be, initially it was 6, right? So maybe it's going to be 1 in September, maybe it's 1 by the end of the year. But that higher for longer is what we've heard in terms of rates, I think, is something that is happening. And that also really depends on the job market, and it also depends on inflation, right? So both those things, unfortunately, none of us have control over. So we're just kind of keeping an eye on it, and I'm just going to keep showing you what other people are saying and what this could potentially mean for the future. Now, personally, I do believe that interest rates are going to go down. At a matter of at what time? Don't know that. I do believe they will go down. I don't have a clock on that. When's it going to happen? I have a 7% interest rate. I want them to go down. So maybe I'm more biased because I want them to go down. It's potential they go up, right? But from everything that I've seen and I've been looking at and just look at this stuff all the time, that's what I'm putting together for not only myself, but giving you guys this information. So let's head on the next news story here. And this is just going to be a general what you need to know about 4th of July in St. Augustine. We're talking about taking out the boat, but honestly, it's probably going to be a mess on the water. I don't know if we're going to want to do that. 4th of July fireworks in St. Augustine. Here's what you need to know. Fireworks over the Matanzas, right above the Castillo de San Marcos, free parking and shuttle buses. It's going to be a mess down there. That's what you need to know. It's not going to be great, but it's going to kick off the festivities at 6 p.m. in the Plaza de la Constitucion with the All-Star Orchestra, and then the fireworks are going to start around 9:30 p.m. near the Castillo de San Marcos and the Lions Bridge. So satellite parking will be provided on Anastasia Island from 6 p.m. to midnight at the Baptist Church, at the amphitheater, and at R.B. Hunt Elementary School. They're also going to have parking at the zoo, and I imagine they're going to have parking over here on West Augustine as well. But it's going to be a fun night, and also seeing fireworks over, the nation, like I guess that's the oldest fort in the nation too. I didn't think about that, but over the oldest city on the bridge over the fort, it's going to be beautiful. And I'm not sure what the temperature's like for tomorrow, but I imagine it's going to be pretty good. But yeah, so I just wanted to cover that quick. What are you guys doing for 4th of July? You hanging out at home? You going out? What's the plan? But let's look at the news. Let's look at the next news story here. St. Johns County says it's making progress on big road projects. Here's what crews are working on. So we talked about this before, County Road 210 widening. I mean, there's just a ton of development in the northwestern part of St. Johns County. County Road 210 needed to be widened, and this is definitely going to be a welcome change. I believe this is right outside of Shearwater here. I'm thinking with the look of this building here. I'm not entirely sure, but if you're looking at like Stillwater, Shearwater, Silverleaf, all these places that, Rivertown even, that outload onto 210, there's a ton of traffic there, and at one section of this road where it's one lane, it is not fun to be on there, especially when school's getting out. So they got that going on. Longleaf Pine Parkway, they want to put the road to Veterans Parkway from 2 to 4 lanes. It also includes installing a traffic signal at the intersection, which we've talked about before, super dangerous. County Road 210 West, Greenbrier Cimarron. This project will be in, is this east? Is this east up here? Oh, so this is east. So this is actually on the east side of 95. So that's like Beach Walk, Beacon Lake. But they're doing the whole stretch of 210. They're making a lot more progress on the east side, that's for sure. Then you have County Road 2209 Central Segment. This is going to connect from County Road 210 to State Road 16, which essentially will run through Silverleaf then. And then County Road 210 East widening. Okay, so we just talked about that. So a lot of major infrastructure projects happening. A lot of it is in the northern part of the county, and that's where we've seen the majority of the development, and that's where we have the majority of the traffic concerns. Now, there are some infrastructure projects happening here, like right around downtown St. Augustine. But there's only so much they can do. Realistically, they don't have the available land. When they built all of downtown, they didn't necessarily think it'd be the hustle and bustle of what it is today. Hustle and bustle, in quotes. It's not exactly the craziest thing in the world. But there's only so much they can build out. You already have, especially because the zoning, when a lot of these homes were built, a lot of them are built right on the sidewalk, essentially. You're steps away from the street. So they don't really have much room on either side to grow that. They have talked about widening and changing the traffic pattern on King Street, but that's really, in downtown St. Augustine, there's like King Street, and then they have A1A that runs through there. So really like the main drags. Otherwise, they're all like residential streets, so there's not too much they can do in that area. But let's hit on to the next news story here, guys. Let me see. I don't have any questions, do we? We got something from David here. Let me answer this. David, we're staying inside. They're calling for thunderstorms tomorrow night in the D.C. area where we live. Well, that's a bummer. I bet seeing fireworks like over the White. I wonder if they do that. Do they do that over the White House? That'd be really cool. If they did fireworks over there, or like the what do they call it? The mall down there. It's such a cool area. Oh, I've only visited DC twice. I loved it though. I thought it was I'm a big history guy, so live in the nation's oldest city. I love that kind of stuff. But any secret condo developments you know about or discovered and been surprised / impressed as you show folks around? Any secret? So I wouldn't say they're secret. They're just not that great. Like, I'm not trying to. I am talking shit in a way, but this is just a fact. There's 2 condo developments that are in like the upper price range, like luxury. One is called Calissa K, and then one is called slipping my mind. I almost helped the builder in this community. I can't remember what it is. I'm sure I can find it, but it's all these are going to be like, there's one it's right off the Salt Run, so I can show you on a map here. I'll share my screen. Maybe it'll pull, who knows. My internet's running so slow right now, I don't know what's going on. I do also have 400 tabs open, but that's a me problem. I don't think that's I don't know if that's a problem for this. It's right over here. Let's see. That's not it. Here, Cortez on the Water. That's another one. And they have like, everyone gets a boat slip. Well, maybe this picture will pull it up here. And the units are really nice. I think the master could be a little bit bigger, but they're starting at like 1.2 million, and I think the ones that are like on the water here are starting at like 2 million, which is it's a condo, but it's a townhome. So it's like 3 stories. Everyone gets a roof deck. The roof deck is really cool. Let's see if I can pull up some more photos here if they'll switch through it. Yeah. So they're great layouts. Everyone gets a garage too. They have a little pool that borders the intercoastal there. It's all high-end luxury finishes and everything. All of the rooms, yeah, this is how they look. All of the rooms have great lighting and everything. A lot of nice details. So that's one that I don't think a lot of people know. And if I remember correctly, I think they said it's like 3 to 4 feet of draw here always. Like, it doesn't matter with the tide, which is important if you have a bigger boat. And I think it can accommodate up to a 40-foot boat, I think. But this looks here, I mean, just looking at this looks like a 20-foot boat there. So might be pretty big space for a 40-foot boat. But that's irrelevant. But yeah, so there's that one, Cortez on the Water. And then there's also, it's over here somewhere. Let's see, Asada Life. It's right over here by Asada Life. It's probably not going to pop. I believe this is the building right here. But Calissa K, which are another set of condos, which are right here on this waterfront. Really beautiful, right off US 1. A whole bunch of restaurants and dining, shopping right here. But that is another one. They're starting in the 800s. Let's see if that pulls there. Okay, maybe that's there. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I don't think that's exactly where it's at, because this is the main windward building, and I'm pretty sure they're tucked over here. But you get my point. So I'm not sure your price point that you're looking at. If you want to drop your price point in the chat, we can talk about it some more at the end. But just to give you an idea there. Let's head back to the next news story here, guys. Hope that helped. But parched. Hastings undergoing a transformation. So if you're looking to buy in St. Augustine, and you're kind of on the same thinking as me, where a lot of people are moving to our area. The price points in St. Augustine are much higher than Jacksonville or Flagler County, any of our surrounding counties here. That's because we have a lot to offer here. One of my friends called St. Augustine like the cultural epicenter of northeastern Florida, and I kind of agree. Like, we have something going on here that a lot of places don't. But Hastings is it's right down 207. So if I were to pull up that map here, okay, that's not the map. If I were to pull up the map here, Hastings is going to be, and this 207 that just ran right into there, Hastings is going to be down here. So this is something that if you are looking to invest or maybe buy a home and hope that it appreciates, Hastings might be a good place to look, because really outside of downtown St. Augustine and West Augustine, there's not a lot of affordability. St. Augustine Shores, West Augustine, Hastings, and Elkton are going to be the most affordable areas. So we're talking about price points in like the $250 to $400 range. And even in Hastings, you can definitely find cheaper than that. But they've also done a lot of infrastructure projects out in Hastings that I think is kind of signaling to me like the county wants to make this a little bit more of like a suburb of St. Augustine. So in Hastings, they've just added like $1 million wastewater treatment facility. They're talking about putting a technical college out there. I think it's already in the works. It just has to be completed yet. And then it's right off 207. So you're really only 30 minutes to downtown St. Augustine, straight on 207. It's not bad. It's actually a really nice drive. I go out this way all the time to visit my sister who lives over here in Palatka. I think the downtown of Hastings kind of has that like cool old like country feel, which, if you're looking for that, it's fantastic. And you're still close to things. You're only like a 15-20 minute drive to 95. St. John's Golf is right here. You can go up north to Jacksonville. You go up south. You can take there's an extension here. You can take 206 all the way to Crescent Beach. That's only like a 30-minute drive. But you still get the best of both worlds. You're out here in the country, so if you're looking for that more space, a little bit more elbow room, a little bit more rural, you can be here. You can still get to the beach really easy, and you can still get to downtown really easy. So personally, I think we actually looked at buying. Oops, sorry. Let me drop this comment out of the way. We actually looked at buying a duplex out there, and we just didn't. I knew the guy who owned it, and we just didn't hop on it quick enough, and now we kick ourselves. Though, in reality, my wife would not want to live out in Hastings. I could live anywhere, live in a box if I needed to, but I know my wife would not want to live out in Hastings. It's just a little too rural for her. She's from North Jersey, so she's used to more of a city life for sure. So it's probably best. We got a nice little place here in West Augustine, but getting a two-family for the same price that we paid here, hard to beat in that respect. So investment wise, I think we're going to do all right either way, but we definitely looked out there because just like one of the reasons I bought here is because all the infrastructure projects that they have coming to West Augustine. The same thing with Hastings, and I think it's just in the path of growth, and it's by necessity. Just here in St. Johns County, for the millennial population as a Gen Z and Gen X. I mean, if you're not making north of as a couple north of $200,000, you're having a hard time affording a house here, right? As a household, right? Most people here on average make like 50 grand a year. So it's really tough on a 50 grand a year salary to, want to buy a $550,000 house. That's the median sale price, right? So it makes it really tough. But I think Hastings has a lot of potential opportunity if you're looking for more of a rural feel. Let's see, we got some comments here. David, yep, they usually have around 750,000 people at the mall. So we just talked about fireworks over the mall in DC, which I think would be pretty cool, but 750,000 people, that's like going to Times Square to watch the ball drop. I'm good. That's a pass. It's a pass. Yeah. Okay, there we go. We got Stephanie here. Hastings is only about 20 minutes from Crescent. Okay, so I like to give the over, I'd rather tell someone the over than the under. But yeah, right down 206, there's no traffic at all. You're going to hit, one light at 95, two lights, I guess technically you could hit at 95, another US 1, and then another at A1A and 206. So, you have 4 lights by the time you get to Crescent Beach, and then you turn off, and then if you have 4-wheel drive, the beach access is right there, and then you go south, and you're in the best part. of the beach in St. Augustine. So I think it's a good little spot. Stephanie, do you live out there? Just curious. JJ, wow, nice. I was more like 400K. Probably old place you might know from growing up here. What used to be the hood ready for rehab. So I can get into this. Okay, I'll leave this comment up, but let me go on to the last news story and I'll jump into this. I got a funny one. All right. So this is something that, hey, it comes with the territory, right? So Formosan termites can have colonies 10 times bigger than domestic subterranean termites, the contractor says. Architectural history is at stake. So let's see. So this is John Valdez. Yeah, it looks. So John Valdez, he is a contractor here in St. Augustine, and he specializes in restoring historic buildings. He pretty much only does that here in the area. He's one of, like, if you're in the real estate space and you're in downtown St. Augustine, you know who John Valdez is. He's just he's that notable of a guy. Like, we looked at a house on Tremerton, which is right off Marine Street in downtown St. Augustine, and the people that were interested in buying it, you know, they had it listed for a ridiculous price. Like, it was complete. It was an old Sears Roebuck house that needed complete renovation, and you can't do. They made it into a historical home, so you can't. Oh, let me switch this. So that you can't do anything on the exterior, right? You can only do work on the interior. You have to keep the facade of the house looking good. But in reality, the seller kind of screwed themselves by doing that, because that means that you can't change the property really that much. So like a modern buyer that goes in there is really limited on what they can do and what they can build, which makes it really tough for a resale, because you have to find them the right person who wants to put the time and energy into doing a historic renovation, which is not cut and dry at all. Like one of the things that I think he brought up to my buyers were the siding. It was like a wood cladded siding that was milled a specific way, and even to replicate that, you have to have it like handmade, like it. So, and it's not a lot of people that do that. So, either way, they kind of shot themselves in the foot with the historic designation, because it limits so much what you can do on the property. But with old homes here in St. Augustine, termites are 100% a thing. It's if you live anywhere, then you kind of know that you probably have. So, like, I have a buyer who's up in Vermont, and they have an older home, and they were like, hey, you know what, and they're looking at an older home here. We came across some termite issues, and they were like, hey, you know what, that's part of what it is. They're used to that. They're used to having an older home that has those issues. That's just kind of standard when you're looking at a downtown St. Augustine with a 100-year home. That's part of it. But even if you don't have a 100-year home, can't talk tonight, 100-year-old home, that is something to be worried about as well. So then you're starting to see, across all the builders, you're seeing that all of them are treating essentially like 4 foot up on all the studs in the property. They're spraying it with like this green spray. It's called, I think, borax, which is like if the termites start eating it, they take it back to their colony and they kill the colony. Then you're also seeing like the Centricon system, which is like placed at 6 or 12 feet intervals around your house, so that it attracts the termites to that bait station. Then they take it back to their hive, destroy it. But that's really the main protections there. And then just keeping an eye out and having your pest guy come and spray and everything, and staying on top of that. But that's something that you can't get away from. I actually know someone on my street. They bought a house here, and it looked like they started to flip it, and then they stopped doing work. And it's been like 6 months. We didn't know what was going on. We're like, how are they going to start this and stop? And apparently they ran into like a termite wall where like everything had been eaten out, and that really kind of screwed their plans for renovation. So let's pop this up here. Let's head on to the question here by JJ. Guys, if you have any questions about the market here or anything you might be interested in, I'm going to cover something right now. So, depends also what you're trying to do, JJ. Are you trying to flip it? Are you trying to make it a long-term rental? Are you trying to make it a short-term rental? I'm going to show you a place where you can probably do all of them, okay? Just to cover all the bases here. Now, I never said this. I lived right down the street from this place. I had friends that lived there. Just give you an idea. I grew up right here. So right in this neighborhood here. This is used to be Anastasia Shores apartment complex. They're now condos. They sell for like $325,000 to $375,000. When I lived here, it was $800 rent. So they did a condo conversion. So if you go down here to West Pope, so this is on the other side of US 1 here. They have two communities here, Coquina Lakes, which is right here, and Island Villas. They're the exact same. There's nothing different about them. I don't know why they're separated. I couldn't tell you. But in here, you could find some, what I would consider a good deal, right? Because you can live on the beach for, I mean, if we were to pull it up on Zillow, let's see if they have anything available. But around $200,000 to buy like retail. So if you can find something, come on. Oh my gosh, I can't type, guys. So if you can find something in this area that, let me just make sure everything's reset. Boom. That you like. Now the problem with these is that, like, I mean, if you're looking to live in it, it's not exactly, they're only like 750 square feet. They're not big at all. You don't get a garage, you don't get anything. There's a little pool there. They just redid out the outside of the building. But yeah, you can see all in here. They got 220, 210, 205, 220, 228. I have a hard time believing that in here, if you would have bought one for retail, you could probably make that a pretty good long-term rental. Short-term rental within this community, I think the minimum rental they do is a week, right? So you could make it a short-term rental, but I don't think that it would do that great. Now you're only like a mile from the beach, so I could be totally wrong with that. I have to double check on that rental time, but either way, I mean, I don't see you not making a decent cap rate on a little 2-bedroom in here. I feel like it'd be really tough. Now, if you're able to buy one that needed to be renovated, you can get it for even cheaper and then buy and hold it and do a long-term rental. I think this might be a good little area to look. Now, I never called it this. I'm citing something from Facebook, which I could find. So if anyone tries to come after me for this, it's not me who said this, all right? But right here, they call this Coquina Lakes, right? But if you look at like Facebook groups, they mean that they'll be like, "Oh, you mean Cocaine Lakes?" You know, because back in the day, it used to have some sketchiness. Apparently, I don't see it that way at all. I don't know. Like I said, I had friends that lived there. I went down there as a kid. I was a kid, so maybe I was dumb and stupid. Who knows? But that's the joke on Facebook, at least when you look at the local groups. Now, I wasn't showing you the map there. I was just showing you my face. So let me show this other spot here. So this is in the Shores. I really like the Shores, guys. I know there's a lot of people that, especially in the local Facebook community, will talk shit on the Shores. I think it's awesome. Like, and I put buyers in there, and they're like, "This place is awesome." I have a couple friends that live there. They have some new construction in the Shores. And really, the North Shores is way different than the South Shores. So this is where you're seeing a lot of the more new construction. KB Homes has a great community in there called Sable Estates, and it has essentially like a half-acre property with a 2,000 square foot home for like $500,000, which you're not finding that in new construction anymore. Aside from that, guys, you also have the Conquistador. Now, the Conquistador is a condo right on the Intercoastal, which, I mean, how can weekly rentals? So this one's been fully renovated. Let's take a look at it. I've already looked at it before, but super cute. This is actually really tasteful. Yeah, vaulted ceiling. You have a little screened-in porch. A lot of these will overlook the Intercoastal too. I don't think this one does. Maybe that's why. Still in the market. Let's see. Yeah. So here, the nice thing is that you're part of the Shores. You have your own pool and everything. But you can also pay an extra like $350 to be a part of the Shores Amenity Center. And then within this area, you just have like a whole bunch of walking trails. You have Canopy Shores Park. There's like a frisbee golf trail in here too. You can play some holes of that. But within that community, you can rent out for the weekly. So I'm not exactly sure how great of an investment opportunity it would be in terms of the weekly, but I think it would be something to look at if you're interested. And they're selling for way less than $400. Now, what used to be the Hood ready for rehab. Yeah, so I think that might be something to look into. Stephanie lives out in Hastings. If you have any questions about that, JJ, just reach out to me directly, and we can actually like do this like a Zoom call, and we can go over all the different places. But I hope that helped. It's my boy here. Used to live in Island Villas. Yeah, awesome, dude. Glad you're tuning in. Andy and his brother grew up right down the street from me. Good friends of mine. Andy's out in California. His brother's here in town still. His brother bought a sweet duplex with me. He's still cash flowing on it. So awesome, Andy. Glad you're here, bro. This is my personal trainer, guys. I found out that today I'm 211 pounds, and that's the heaviest I've ever been. But if you look at my old videos, I'm definitely not as jacked. That's a fact. But we also did my measurements today because I was like, dude, I don't know how I got up to 211 pounds. That's crazy. And I'm only 1% body fat higher, but I'm like 30 pounds of muscle more. So pretty stoked on that. If you guys need a personal trainer in St. Augustine, this guy is the guy, Rising Dragon on Instagram. Oop, wrong way. On Instagram, use this dude. He's great. He really is. I'm not just saying that because he's my buddy now, but like we weren't friends initially. Then we became friends. But he definitely pushes me. Thanks. Can you show the map on screen? Okay, I think I got you, JJ. Crescent, not Hastings. Okay, so you live in Crescent Beach, not Hastings. Okay, yeah, but I mean either way, Crescent Beach is amazing. So if you are living in Hastings, you're not that far from Crescent Beach. You can enjoy it. But guys, that is it. Glad you guys were all here. David, JJ, Stephanie, my boy Andy, my boy John. Guys, appreciate you chiming in here on the live. Here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. going over the market stats, the news you need to know about, thinking about buying, selling, or investing here in northeastern Florida, and doing a Q&A. So if you have any questions about any areas, just like JJ had, reach out to me directly. I can help you out. We can have a conversation just like this over a video call. I'd love to be able to help. Until next Wednesday, guys, I'll see you.